Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan, and today we finally return to our coverage of the Clone Wars by looking at the third year of the war, 20 BBY. If you're interested in checking out our previous coverage of the first 2 years of the war, we've linked them in the top right corner. They're pretty long videos. Today we'll be looking at some larger issues that define the second year of the Clone Wars and the transition from year 2 to year 3. In the episodes following this one, we'll be covering individual events and battles of the third year of the Clone Wars more in depth, so don't forget to subscribe down below to our channel so you don't miss out our coverage leading up to the release of the final season of the Clone Wars. The second year of the Clone Wars was defined by an escalation of both warfare and technology by both sides of the Clone Wars. The Republic was successful in thwarting the Separatist attempt to develop an anti-Jedi biological weapon known as the Blue Shadow Virus. Meanwhile, the Republic had successfully killed the fearsome Zillo Beast and now was starting to do tests on its impenetrable hide in search for future military applications. The Confederacy of Independent Systems continues to put pressure on Republic worlds in the Outer Rim, although their victories are nowhere near as numerous or as quick as they were in the opening year of the war. Still, the Republic takes some major losses, including being forced to withdraw from the exotic jungles of Felucia. Its strategic location on the Perlimian trade route and its production of exotic pharmaceutical goods made it an extremely important world and an important early battleground in the war. The Republic defeat on Felucia is a major setback to surrounding sectors. With the loss of the hyperspace lanes in Felucia, Republic forces in nearby systems are now cut off. Meanwhile, legendary bounty hunter Cad Bane is hired by Darth Sidious to carry out an impossible heist on the Jedi Temple's holocron vault. Bane teams up with the shapeshifter Cato Parasiti and manages to infiltrate the most heavily guarded building in the galaxy, the Jedi Temple, and steals a holocron from its vaults. The holocron has a list of all of the Force-sensitive younglings in the galaxy. The Jedi now must race across the galaxy to find those Force-sensitive babies before Cad Bane does. Bane manages to capture at least 4 of the infants and takes them to Darth Sidious's secret facility on Mustafar for experimentation. The Jedi, however, save the babies before the facility is destroyed, but they are none the wiser about Chancellor Palpatine's true identity and his continuous meddling with Jedi affairs. Cad Bane returns to Coruscant later on in the year and leads another daring assault on the Republic. This time, his team of bounty hunters take over the Galactic Senate building and take several senators as hostage and manages to exchange them for the criminal Zero the Hutt. This leads me to think that Cad Bane is probably the most skilled bounty hunter in the galaxy. And yes, even more skilled than the trio of Mandalorians that everyone else seems to favor. Speaking of Mandalorians, Mandalore looks quite different during this period of time. Gone are the jetpacks and Beskar armor. Instead, Mandalore is controlled by the pacifist government of the New Mandalorians, and the planet has enjoyed decades of peace and economic expansion. They remain neutral at the beginning of the Clone Wars, and their leader, Duchess Satine Kryze, is the head of an extremely powerful bloc in the Galactic Senate known as the Council of Neutral Systems. Made up of over 1,500 star systems, the Council of Neutral Systems is a constant thorn in the sides of the more militaristic members of the Senate and also Chancellor Palpatine. In the second year of the Clone Wars, agitators associated with the Mandalorian Death Watch faction began causing unrest in the Mandalorian capital city of Sundari. The Republic sends a Jedi envoy to investigate and finds that the new Mandalorians are unwilling to accept help from the Republic. The leader of the Death Watch reveals himself to be Pre Vizsla, who is the governor of Mandalore's moon Concordia. Links between the Death Watch and the Confederacy of Independent Systems emerge, and the Duchess must plead her case to the Senate. She is desperate to keep her people out of the war, although it seems inevitable that Mandalore will have to eventually choose a side. The cyborg General Grievous has some limited success against the Republic, but continues to be thwarted by the Republic in the Grand Campaign. But he also continues to kill Jedi and poses a huge threat to the morale of the Republic forces. Grievous even manages to capture Jedi Master Eth Koth, a sitting member of the High Council. Although he is ultimately defeated again by General Obi-Wan Kenobi's forces, the elusive cyborg manages to escape capture time and time again. On Geonosis, hidden drones emerge from hibernation from beneath the ground and take over the token Republic forces that were garrisoned there after the initial Battle of Geonosis. Smoke once again emerges from the Geonosian foundries as the Separatists start mass production of battle droids and the feared super battle tank. The second battle of Geonosis begins as the Republic launches another costly invasion to recapture this hated Separatist world. Heavy casualties on both sides lead to a Republic victory, and the true master of the Geonosians is revealed, the monstrous Queen Kamino the Great. Archduke Poggle the Lesser is captured as well by Republic forces. He was one of the original minds behind the construction of the Death Star battle station. The Geonosians mainly focused on creating the structure that would house the Death Blazer. Poggle had originally handed the first blueprints of the battle station to Count Dooku during the first battle of Geonosis, and those plans eventually wound up in Darth Sidious, aka Supreme Chancellor Palpatine's hands. With the capture of Archduke Poggle the Lesser, those plans were finally transferred officially to Republic hands after the second battle of Geonosis. The top secret intel was presented to the Republic Strategic Advisory Cell by Chancellor Palpatine. Fear that the Separatists were creating their own superweapon led to the Republic starting their own research and development of the Death Star. Shortly after the second battle of Geonosis, a secret summit is held at the Strategic Planning Amphitheater in the Republic Center for Military Operations on Coruscant. 150 scientists, engineers, business leaders, and politicians met to discuss the construction and funding of this secret weapon. The Jedi were not invited to this meeting, and all the members present were forced to sign the official secrets oath. Unlimited funding was secretly appropriated for the construction of the Death Star over fears that the Separatists were close to creating their own superweapon. Construction of the battle station begins over Geonosis, mainly using Geonosian worker drones. The project is headed by the Republic Special Weapons Group, which would later turn into the Advanced Weapons Research Department in the Galactic Empire. A young Lieutenant Commander Orson Krennic would rise to the ranks and become the director of the entire project. Back to the war. In 21 BB1, the Republic finally manages to solidify a defensive line across the Outer Rim, and now battle lines are being drawn and both sides are digging in for a longer and more protracted war. The Separatists now must wear down the Republic in a war of attrition. The High Separatist Council seeks additional loans from the Intergalactic Banking Clan and orders 3 million more battle droids to replace their losses. The Separatist droid army once again turns their eyes towards Kamino, the world that was responsible for cloning all of the Republic's troopers. The Separatists had attempted to invade Kamino in the first year of the war, but had failed after their fleet was prematurely detected in the Rishi system. This time around, the Separatists used falling debris from orbit as a Trojan horse to launch an underwater invasion fleet. Asajj Ventress has a secondary mission during the battle to retrieve the Fett DNA for Separatist testing. The Republic forces on Kamino managed to fight back the Separatist onslaught despite being initially surprised by their underwater invasion. Kamino is saved and the Republic avoids a devastating blow to their primary production center, which might have cost them the war. Speaking of clones, in 21 BBY we see the clones begin to adopt Phase 2 armor, trading in their Phase 1 armor. Although the Phase 1 armor did have some advantages like a built-in life support system, it was extremely uncomfortable. While the Kaminoans were quite thorough with their analysis of the Fett DNA, they were far less knowledgeable when it came to designing armor and clothing for human bodies. The Phase 2 armor was more comfortable and better fitted, and also was compatible with a wide variety of specialized equipment that could be attached to the armor. The Phase 2 armor was widely seen as an improvement, and also far superior to the Stormtrooper armor that would go on to replace it. With the arrival of the third year of the Clone Wars, the momentum was gradually shifting towards the Republic. Although they started the war without a military or much of a military-industrial complex, they managed to survive the most difficult moments of the war and the initial surprise onslaught by the massive droid army. And now, just as the Union Army did during the American Civil War, the Galactic Republic and its core worlds had finally brought their immense power, wealth, money, and manpower into play and aimed it directly at the Confederacy of Independent Systems. With new weapons, vehicles, and soon new armies at their disposal, the Republic is finally on the offensive and begins the Outer Rim Sieges, a series of battles that aims to retake several of the worlds they had lost to the Separatists in the opening salvo of the war. The CIS's territory is shrinking from one large contiguous territory in the Outer Rim into rapidly shrinking pockets of resistance surrounded by the might of the Grand Army of the Republic. The nature of the conflict has also changed. Gone are the rapid exchanges of territory we see in the beginning of the war as Confederate blitzkrieg attacks take on mostly unprepared and undefended Republic worlds. Now, heavily entrenched Separatist forces face equally well-equipped Republic clone trooper battalions in terribly costly battles of attrition. The Jedi leaders and generals have also greatly changed throughout the war. Most of the young and naive Jedi who saw the Clone Wars as a just and noble crusade against corporatism and tyranny are lying dead on the battlefield along with their clone soldiers. Their inexperience in chivalry and battle have led to their demise and the demise of the men underneath their charge. What are left are hardened Jedi who have come to terms with the horrors of warfare. Most of them have cast aside the Jedi code for a more realistic set of battlefield rules and ethics. Many of the Jedi have lost sight of what they are fighting for as the dark side continues to cloud over the battlefield. The Jedi of the Golden Age of the Republic are ill-suited for the battlefield, and many teeter on the dark side of the Force, and only the most skilled and disciplined warriors can maintain their light side ideology. The Jedi numbers have not only shrunk, they're now spread thin across the galaxy, surrounded by clones, leaving them vulnerable to attack and destruction. And so that sets the stage for our coverage of the third year of the Clone Wars. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our series. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.